What's up, everyone? This is Ian Michiels with Gleanster Research, and today I'm going to talk about 3 tips for achieving perpetual revenue growth for your organization. I did a webinar not too long ago on the topic of lead lifecycle analytics, and the subtitle of that was Essential Metrics for Perpetual Revenue Growth. And the idea behind this webinar is there are actually a finite number of metrics you need to measure across your lead lifecycle, across your marketing and your sales efforts, to actually generate predictable revenue on the back end. And this idea of predictability was kind of understated in this webinar. So I thought I would take a minute to kind of highlight the top 3 ways that I think organizations can generate predictable numbers coming out of the sales pipeline. And I think what's helpful here is this really lets marketers get at and back into how much do we need to spend to generate X amount in revenue. So the first one is marketing should pre-qualify leads. And unfortunately, it's garbage in, garbage out. The quality of the leads that are being given to sales, if they're basically looking for the needles in the haystack, then you're not going to be able to generate predictable sales numbers out of all these leads because you don't know how many of them are truly quality leads. So you've got salespeople very frustrated getting a large volume of leads but having to weed through them to find the short-term opportunities. And also, you lose revenue because the long-term opportunities that are real opportunities for your organization, the salespeople aren't going to focus on. So why are we doing that? Well, one, you need to quantify the value of investments in marketing. You want to know what impact marketing spend had on the sales pipeline. And this is kind of a new trend that we're seeing. And for the longest time, marketing was more of an art. And now we're starting to get into this numeric decision-making process in marketing. And this is how we start to get at it. So number 2, you want sales to focus on those short-term opportunities. And so I think, the therefore there is marketing should be measuring critical metrics at the front of the sales pipeline. And I think of this kind of like the vintage on a fine wine. There are a lot of different elements that go into a really good wine. The sun, the soil, the temperature, all these different things. Same thing is true for your leads. And marketing should take the time to nurture those opportunities to actually make sure that they're educated, that they understand their problems, that they're ready to truly talk to sales, and that's going to make things run a lot smoother. So 3 areas that marketing should be quantifying. Number 1 is the number of inquiries per channel. So how many inquiries are your different channels generating? And if you back into how much you're spending, you can actually understand and identify how much you need to spend per channel to generate X amount of qualified opportunities out of those channels. The last one here, and the total inquiries, is basically you're going to back into how much does it cost per lead. And then marketing qualified leads. And this is a metric that you're going to work with sales and say, hey, what attributes make up a qualified lead in your mind? In the mind of a salesperson, what do we need to see in a qualified opportunity before we start talking to them? And then marketing needs to work towards generating those opportunities and only passing those on to sales. Number 2, automate and quantify lead engagement. I think the first issue there is alignment. We still see a lot of he said, she said in sales and marketing, and marketing producing large volumes of leads and pushing them over to sales. But I like this saying of you don't have a sales problem, you don't have a marketing problem, you have a revenue problem. And what that means is marketing and sales need to work together to do what the business is in business to do, and that's make a profit. And I think there's really needs to, you have to come together in this process, and that's the only way you're going to generate predictable revenue growth because both functions have to be accountable for different metrics. You need to systematically qualify leads with marketing automation. It's just not realistic that you're going to be able to manually interact with your prospects in a meaningful way. So by quantifying and qualifying them through a lead scoring algorithm or through those touches with marketing automation across different channels, you're actually going to generate and push directly into CRM only those opportunities that sales really should be talking to. So it really validates for marketing all those interactions you've had with those individuals by saying, hey, sales, look at the score this person has. They've seen 5 webinars and 2 emails, and they've looked at this data sheet, etc. So being able to actually justify to sales that this is truly someone you need to be talking to is hugely important. And then finally, I think you need to democratize access to performance metrics. For years, sales has been measuring all these critical metrics like average sales cycle time, close ratio on sales qualified leads, average deal size. Those are out there. Those are in CRM. But does marketing have visibility to those? Probably not. And so I think for an organizational standpoint, if a VP of marketing is to justify how much they need to spend to generate X amount in actual revenue coming out of the pipeline, you actually need to know how well is sales going to perform once we give them qualified leads. And over time, you can start to benchmark that and hold everybody accountable. And likewise, sales needs to know how many qualified leads marketing is generating and whether or not their performance is in line with his history, so you can make improvements. I think marketing and sales also need to meet periodically. This is definitely a best practice we're seeing from top performers. You got to get together either on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, validate what you believe a qualified opportunity actually is, validate those performance metrics. You just need visibility across the entire lead lifecycle, and you have to come together, and it's not going to happen in silos, and we're consistently seeing that from top performers. Okay, so the 3 tips for generating predictable revenue growth. 1, marketing should pre-qualify leads. 2, you should systematically automate and quantify lead engagement. And 3, you should democratize performance metrics. Thanks.